Once in a while, Jesus says something so out of character, you wonder if someone should check him for a fever. This is one of those times. Out of the blue, seemingly following from nothing, Jesus just suddenly goes, "You know what? I can't wait to set this world on fire." It's clear from the tone he's not talking about lighting up the club with his boys this weekend. I imagine the room goes awkwardly silent. But Jesus sees all the eyebrows shooting up, and he doubles down. "What?" he says. "Did you think I came to bring peace?" Well, honestly, yeah. The day Jesus was born, a huge flock of heavenly angels literally showed up to say, "Attention, Earthlings! This kid is here to bring peace." I mean, I'm paraphrasing, but that's pretty close to what they said. If you asked any of Jesus' disciples to describe his project in a word, every one of them would probably say, shalom, peace. That's the Jewish word for a state of affairs where everything is alive and well and flourishing. So if that's the mission, why does Jesus sound like he's promoting Family Fight Club? The other day, I was driving home, bouncing through giant potholes, complaining to myself about the terrible state of the roads. But in the middle of my mental ranting, it suddenly occurred to me that fixing the problem would require road construction. As in, lane changes, detours, and slower speeds. Suddenly, I wasn't sure if I wanted better roads that much. This is always the dilemma. No one disagrees with Jesus' goal. Everybody wants a better world full of love and peace. The problem is, things don't get better without major disruptions. And this is where the controversy kicks in, because not everyone is willing to accept the costs of change. In every time and culture, there are some things that pass as normal. Where I come from, it's normal to drink soda from cups the size of milk jugs. It's normal for phones to self-destruct by design. Like we're all in some top secret impossible mission squad. It's normal to hear Christmas music in September. It's normal to sacrifice sleep to keep scrolling on apps that make you hate both yourself and the world. Normal means roughly happens so often, even your grandma isn't shocked anymore. But I have friends from other cultures who look at all this and say, "Are you guys nuts? Slavery was once normal. It was normal in ancient Rome to wash your clothing in urine." Just because something is normal doesn't make it a good idea. For Jesus, normal is the problem. Human beings have a long habit of normalizing disasters. We've made it normal for some people to own 10 toilets, while families sleep in tents. We've made it normal to know more about Taylor Swift's dating life than we do about our neighbors. We've made it normal to be lonely and also rarely leave the house. We've made it normal to give power to whoever's best at stirring anger. We've made it normal to fear silence more than podcasts on serial killers. Like with Crocs, it's all so familiar we've grown immune to the horror. But none of this is normal. It isn't how it has to be. It isn't how it's meant to be. This kingdom of God that Jesus won't stop talking about, the world working as God dreams, has a very different baseline, a wildly better normal. But there's no way to get from here to there without some real disruption. And this is what Jesus has been trying to explain to his disciples. Anyone who would follow him to a better world will have to leave old normal behind. They'll need to embrace new habits and rhythms of living, a whole new set of normals defined by Jesus. That shift is bound to be disruptive. To us and to the people we do life with. It might be your family, your friends, your political tribe, whoever your people are. Whoever sets your baseline, following Jesus is bound to leave you out of sync with the norm. When almost everyone around you is navigating the world with a broken compass, orienting by true north looks strange. Sometimes it even makes people mad. So why would anyone risk it? Well, Jesus says, think of it like this. People check the weather obsessively because when a storm hits, you'd rather be under a blanket with cocoa than in a ditch with frostbite. We should read our times, our normals, for similar reasons to why we read the sky. To be prepared. A storm is brewing, Jesus says. Just because something has been normal for a while doesn't mean the costs aren't adding up, building toward a tipping point. This is what's happening in the world, even now. Our human normal isn't normal, and it's stirring up a storm that sooner or later will claim its damages. But this doesn't have to be a disaster for those who prepare. Wise people will look, read the air, heed the warning signs, and make proactive changes. They'll act now. They'll choose disruption now for the sake of a better future. All in all, normal is highly overrated. The only way to get somewhere better, somewhere we in the world have never been, is to take a different way that has never been tried. Let's hear what Jesus has to say in Luke 12, beginning in verse 49. Jesus said, "I have come to set the world on fire, and I wish it were already burning. I have a terrible baptism of suffering ahead of me, and I'm under a heavy burden until it's accomplished. Do you think I've come to bring peace to the earth? No. I've come to divide people against each other. From now on, families will be split apart, 3 in favor of me and 2 against, or 2 in favor and 3 against. Father will be divided against son, and son against father. Mother against daughter, and daughter against mother, and mother-in-law against daughter-in-law, and daughter-in-law against mother-in-law. Then Jesus turned to the crowd and said, "When you see clouds beginning to form in the west, you say, 'Here comes a shower.' And you're right. When the south wind blows, you say, 'Today will be a scorcher.' And it is. You fools, you know how to interpret the weather signs of the earth and sky, but you don't know how to interpret the present times. Why can't you decide for yourselves what is right? When you're on your way to court with your accuser, try to settle the matter before you get there. Otherwise, your accuser may drag you before the judge, who will hand you over to an officer, who will throw you into prison. And if that happens, you won't get free until you paid the very last penny." I'm Meghan Good, and this has been Reading Jesus. Thanks so much for joining me for a few minutes in Luke, and I'll see you next time.